You made it. Welcome back, you BEA beautiful souls. Today, I'm going to go over my previous tier list since we did get a bunch of nerfs on feats and characters, and especially Berserker, as you can see here. Berserker is an S tier back in the last patch, but this patch, he definitely got nerfed. No enhanced lights anymore, especially when you target swap, and it's just not going to be as powerful or as oppressive anymore. And I wanted to go over a bunch of these characters and see how it changes the meta, if it brings someone up and it brings someone down. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you guys enjoyed this, hopefully you guys will show some love. But I think I'm just going to go over and talk about the new tier list, or the new characters that are going to be in the top tiers right now, since Zerker got nerfed, and of course the Fierce feats too. I'm not going to lie to you, I'm pretty sure Fierce is going to stay the same, but Zerker definitely is going to be changed. So let's just get down into it. If you want the previous, all the explanations and the gameplay loop, you have to go to my previous tier list, but I'm just going to talk over this tier list and not make it too in-depth. I'm going to be a bit informal here. It's going to be off the script, but it's okay because we're going to have a damn good time doing it. So let's just get into it and adjust the values here. So with the Orochi, he's still going to be S tier. They haven't nerfed him. They gave him his new skin, and ergo, he's going to keep all of his strings. I kind of want to just put him on his tier of his own, but we'll just keep him up in the S tiers, because nothing really got nerfed. Kiai did get nerfed, but Kiai's not even that big of a deal at the moment. It still does 80 damage. It doesn't take you away from your all your stamina, which is great. But I mean, that's still a lot of stamina. It stops you from attacking. They increase the cooldown, but there's still no counterplay to this feat, because it just comes out right away at 433 MS and has a pretty big AoEs, and there's nothing you can really do about it. You just have to take it and be like, oh, I guess I don't have any of my stamina. If you actually attacked the Orochi and use like a heavy feint or unblockable feint or something like that, you'd be pretty much out of stamina, depending on your character. So I think Orochi's still gonna remain S tier. Kunai is still very good. He's a bounty hunter, and this thing tracks you for days, has 400 MS startup, and also a really big hitbox too, a surprisingly big hitbox. If you dodge it early when you're really up close, you're still gonna get hit. If you dodge it late, you're still gonna get hit. And then of course he can do his zone into a chain kick, so you're into his mix-up, and that's very strong. Longbow still very powerful. Any character with this feat, really powerful, because it's a projectile, deals 50 damage, and can be easily confirmed with the guard break. It's just really ridiculous. Nail Bomb is probably going to be one of your best feats still, but Fear itself did get nerfed. It's 40%, it used to be 50%, but it's still a solid tier 4 in my opinion. I mean, 10% nerf is not that big of a deal. It doesn't make it so that you don't just die in like 2 shots anymore, but I think this is still incredibly powerful. Orochi still remains S tier, and a lot of people ask me, how do you play Orochi in 4v4, and my advice to them, and I know some people will have some difficulty doing this, but you still have to know a little bit about matchups. But basically, you target swap external zone into your side heavy finisher and wait for an opening to mess up the other person in the face with a 28 damage heavy. That's how you play Orochi. And of course, you can abuse that dodge attack, the undodgeable dodge attack, and make so that you can't be punished. You can just target swap away from people and target swap away from mix-ups, and that makes them so it's very powerful when you target swap back and forth, and makes it so you can't even be focused as easily. This character has tons of good deflects too, accidental deflects as well. So Orochi, he can just do whatever he wants and basically get away with it, unless there's a Varangian guard or a strong full black character like either Black Prior, but it can be hard to utilize him, and Armush. Armush is a little bit easier. His startup's faster, but Black Prior can punish him way more heavily. However, that takes a little bit of skill and know-how. So Orochi's still gonna be top tier. He's got a new skin, and there's not much to say about that, because they're not going to nerf a character that has a really good skin coming up. You know, I wouldn't do that as a business perspective, and that's why they only nerf Zerker. They're saying it to test Zerker, but if you actually played the game, you'd know how detrimental that is to the character's kit. When you nerf his ability to have enhanced lights on something or anything, that is incredibly bad. Like, think about a character using a heavy attack and it bounces off and it doesn't do enhance. That's how bad it is for a Berserker. It's not gonna kill the character 100% when it comes to the matchmaking gameplay, like casual lobbies, but maybe in competitive games, it's gonna kill the character for sure. Okay, moving on to Shinobi. Shinobi, he did get his, well, actually his Kiai just got nerfed, and that's about it. I don't think he got his kunais, or his, not kunai, but shurikens nerfed, because they were looking into reworking that entire feat. Personally, in my opinion, I think they just need to remove it. That thing is ridiculously overpowered as hell. This thing will do 20 damage up front for the lowest count, right? If you get hit by 2 of them, it's 40, and then 60 and 80, and I've hit at least 40 damage every single time I've used this. Every single time, 40 damage, and then boom shakalaka, I might get a 60, and I sometimes get an 80, which is actually hilarious for tier 2, and has a 90-second cooldown. 90-second cooldown. Personally, if I were them, I would have just removed the feat and replaced it with some useless thing like short-tempered, and then we wouldn't have to deal with this nonsense. Shinobi is freaking S tier, and people who don't believe me, he has one of the best repositioning tools in the entire game. Best repositioning tool. All you do is dodge once, and if you dodge twice, boom shakalaka. You're away from like pretty much every single mix-ups, and you can reposition and stall for a very long time. You know, this character has insane ganks. Still really good. He did get nerfed by his forward kick into a bash follow-up, that guaranteed bash follow-up. It's considered a bash, but now it deals a little bit more revenge. I believe it's about 30 revenge. It used to deal like 14, so that's a big nerf to him. However, it still counts as a bash, so if you want to pressure someone into activating revenge, that's what Shinobi is used for. It's very powerful. They can't stall, they have to pop it, and if the Shinobi hits him with the bash, it bounces, it makes the person fall back a little bit. But if you pop it in time with revenge, then you can guard break the Shinobi and punish him severely. However, you gotta be careful because Shinobi has more tools than just activating revenge. Great team fighting capabilities, great deflex, insane chain 50-50s. This character has it all. Sick of Rain will keep you in place, feeds a bit of revenge. However, the utility of keeping someone put to take 2 damage, two heavies to the face, my god. So strong. A lot of characters have these, like Orochi double bashes, Aira ganks, and Ocelotl, but Shinobi is still one of the OGs that used to do that, and that character is still ridiculous. I don't know why people don't think he's strong. I will say that Shinobi takes a little bit of know-how and a little bit of skill. Now, I think that's gonna it's gonna stroke a lot of Shinobi mains' egos, but that's the truth. Shinobi does require a little bit of skill. He has a higher skill floor than Orochi. This character, you can get punished pretty severely by just doing random dodge bashes and just throwing light attacks. Whereas Orochi, he's a lot more safe when it comes to external attacks. Whereas Shinobi only has like a zone attack, which has a very good hitbox, but his lights into it, unblockable, lights into undodgeable. It's pretty mediocre in comparison to Orochi. You have to have a little bit of know-how and understand character mix-ups to punish them accordingly. Whereas Orochi can just do zone into heavy attack. That's basically the character. Shinobi's a little bit more nuanced than that, and I think that's pretty cool. You know, Shinobi has a bit of skill expression. However, the character is still incredibly powerful when you know how to play him. I think that's pretty much it. He does have Ki that got nerfed, but you want to be running Bounty Hunter anyways. Shooting Stars and Nukikubi or Slip Through. These are very powerful feats. Nobody ever runs Sharpened Blade. I've seen it maybe a couple times, but it's mostly just Slip Through or Nukikubi because you have infinite stamina on your 50-50s. It's actually pretty crazy. Then Nail Bomb is going to be your go-to, or Yamauba just for the memes. I would say Shinobi is still a strong pick. I don't think he moves away from this tier list. There's a couple of nerfs that will push a hero down like Zerker, but I mean, they haven't done anything Shinobi or Orochi except for damage nerfs. Now, Aira did get nerfed a lot actually. Back in the she got like a bunch of incremental nerfs already. Let me have a sip of my coffee. So let's just go over and talk about the recent ones. So the recent ones is going to be her feats. Now her feats got nerfed with cooldowns. Nerf got feats with, as you can see, your Gravity's Pull. It's gonna be 90-second cooldown now. It used to be 60, which is pretty ridiculous. It's still 500 MS, and it deals 15 damage now. This also goes for Speeding Comment, which was her unique skill. This is now 120 seconds. And it's going to deal less damage, which is going to be 20 damage now. It used to deal a lot more, and this is going to be very good because it still is a powerful tier 3. It's a very unique, powerful tier 3. Full block stance, travel distance, and has 0 MS startup, which is freaking insane. Like, actually insane for 5 minutes bash. Character is still ridiculous. Good 50-50s, chain kick, and the left side heavy will still wall splat. However, they did nerf her damage quite significantly. I think this is the wrong route to take Aira, in my opinion. She only gets a 25 damage top heavy, so if it's a light parry, she gets 25 damage. and you should always throw her left side heavy because that's the one that deals 24 base damage, and her right one deals 22. But the thing is with Aira, there's tons of nuance with the character, and there's a lot of good skill expression with her. She's still got crushing counters on her neutral lights and her finisher lights, and the thing is, if you get a light parry with her, and there's a wall nearby on the right side, you don't have to go for the top heavy that's 25 damage. You can go for the max punish, which is going to be your bash into a left heavy attack, and then you can use your top heavy for the maximum amount of damage. It's a very, very good light parry punish in my opinion. It's in line with Centurion's light parry punishes, and that's even without Haymaker. Centurion has a pretty okay light parry punish if there's a wall nearby, or even just a heavy parry punish, but you know, I think Fear takes the cake on that one. Very powerful attack, and of course she does have chase ability. You can't run from this character with her feintable bash. I don't think there's much that has changed with her. They just did a bunch of damage nerfs, and that's not really how you fix a character or nerf a character. The problem with the character is that she's able to get those wall splats so consistently, and such with a strong 50-50 mix-up. I think she got nerfed in the wrong way. It makes her deal less damage than instead of just having the ability to wall splat so much. And if you guys know, they used to have a very strong displacement on your left heavy finisher, and they nerfed that, and then they started nerfing the damage. Just like, okay guys, come on, let's stop nerfing the character in the wrong ways and nerf him the right ways, that we can buff him in other ways. Well, to be fair, she doesn't really need buffs. She's actually very strong, good team fighter, good duelist, and amazing 4v4 character. So Aira is still going to stay relatively the same. Let's move on to Ocelotl here. Now, Ocelotl, a lot of people actually don't understand this character, and for some reason they think he's weak, and I think that's only because they believe that his Hunter Stance is useless. But Hunter Stance is probably one of the best stance moves in the game, because you literally travel from Africa to Mars. That's how powerful this move is, and it also sets up some nasty and disgusting ganks. I think a lot of people aren't going to know how these ganks are performed, but the basic ganks with his chain bash are already very good. It's just double heavies, and he just does his double bash, and it's boom shakalaka. You just eat all your health. It's all gone. Like Ocelotl is basically just eating your ass. It's ridiculous. This character can just do whatever the heck he wants. 4MS lights, nobody is blocking that, and nobody is most definitely not parrying that at all. He had to respect him in that front. The turret swap dodge attacks, very good anti-ganks installing with this character. Chain bash is feintable, so it's super duper scary if you're not making a correct read on it. Apparently, it is reactable to the highest levels of play, but they just recently figured that out. So I really don't find that a valuable information, in my opinion, because most of the player base aren't playing this on 0 render to see all the animations perfectly and getting a 5000 FPS. Most players are just playing this on 60 FPS, and they're not going to be reacting to shit with this, okay? 500 MS attacks are pretty much good to go when it comes to the casual For Honor player base, in my opinion. But yeah, so with this character, the 400 MS light attacks into an infinite chain is very strong. You cannot underestimate him, and his tier 1, I cannot stress how strong his tier 1 is. I don't understand why people don't think his tier 1 is so good, because it causes you to watch him at all times. He can just spawn out of anywhere, attack you from behind, and just, you have to respect this tier 1. It can be useless in some ways when your teammate doesn't have any points, right? There's no points to take, you can't get your HP back, but you can still recover like most of your HP and then get back into the fight afterwards and do some backcap, and you're fast as heck when you're in this form. In backcap, they have to stay on point or be near on point to like watch you, and if you do actually cap it or at least get their attention, that takes away at least 1 or 2 people from the fight, leaving 3 of your teammates to try to cap mid lane or cap their home point. That is so strong, I kid you not, and nobody sees you. They have to look at the map, or not the map, they have to look at the UI on top and be like, okay, is this guy still in his spirit form? If he is, then I have to stay in mid lane or get ready to go back. You actually can't even stay in mid lane, because as soon as he pops, he's just waiting in there on spawn or your home point. He's just gonna get there, and you're not gonna be able to get there in time. He'll just cap it. So you have to respect that. So that's why this is so strong. You can get all your HP back, pretty much all your HP back, and just chill and do some backcapping. Backcapping is very powerful, especially when your team is losing the entire fight. The triple cap is a very strong thing, but once someone brings at least 2 players away from the enemy or from the fight, it's just like, okay, well, now this is comeback time. It doesn't matter if you die either. If you die, that's good, because you wasted time so your teammates can win the fight. So very powerful. I cannot stress that enough. Ventral Mark is alright. It's not that strong. Like Bear Trap, you would definitely be running this, but it just doesn't make sense why you would have a defense debuff when you killed an Ocelot. Pretty ridiculous. And then of course running Second Wind is your go-to, and then Trappers, which is very good, does so much bleed damage, allows a free guard break, legend potential, and heavy attacks into chain mix-up. So I have zero clue on why people think this character is weak. He's absolutely one of the most brain-dead characters in the entire game, next to Hitakiri. He's second on the brain-dead list, in my opinion, because you have seen so many Ocelots jump into the fight with 1 HP, and of course they just die and act like clowns. But you know, this character, he's super duper strong, man. Forward light, very fast with in conjunction with his forward dodge bash. Into a chain heavy, chain zone, chain finisher zone that also has hyper armor, so he has trading capabilities, a very good movement on his dodge attacks. Hard to tell if it's coming at you because the Tarsop animation looks so janky. But Ocelot, ridiculous character. You can do so much with him. Great ganks, good 1v1s, great team fights, and amazing stalling and anti-ganking. So this character is ridiculous. Play him because you will realize how strong he is without even having to use your brain. Now, ranking guard, I think I'm gonna put her. She is freaking top tier. She's definitely top tier. I'm gonna probably put her like right up here. Actually, I think yeah, I'm gonna put her right up here. I think she will define the meta. I think Orochi is slightly. I think he is better than Ranking Guard, but Ranking Guard has so much defensive utility with her feats and her full block that she could overshadow Orochi. But Orochi is just so strong, anyways. He is the defining meta at this moment. Used to be Medjai, but they nerfed his hitbox and his damage. But Ranking Guard was made to stop the external spam, and I understand why the devs did this. However, when you make a character specifically designed to stop a certain meta, it really ruins the player base and the community in general, in my opinion. I'll give you guys an example. Overwatch. You guys remember dive meta? Overwatch. So Genji, Winston, Tracer, dive in, kill all the supports, GG's. And there's nothing a support player could do besides position perfectly and have their teammates come help them. That was the game plan in Overwatch comp. I watched a ton of Overwatch. I still follow it today, and I know the metas and all that good stuff. I'm definitely not that good because I'm only a freaking plat and I don't play that game that much. I love it, but I just don't have time to invest because I play so much For Honor. But dive comp. The devs want to counteract this. A lot of people didn't like dive comp, but a lot of people did. However, that didn't stop the Overwatch dev team from making Brigitte. Now, Brigitte, if you guys don't know who that is, that's when she came out, her shield bash would stun you. Okay, now imagine if Ranking Guard. Well, actually, it's actually the same thing. So Brigitte could stun you, so it would stop any dive character from attacking your supports, and then you would die instantly because she had a freaking like 150 damage combo. I think it might have even been more than that. Plus, your teammates jumping in on the Genji or the Tracer. So it countered every single character that would try to attack a support or the backline. And now, if you decide to ever throw an attack out or an external attack against Varangian Guard or dodge attack that's not targeted towards Varangian, she will full block and she will stop your ass and pin you for days for your teammates to get a heavy attack and for you to get a heavy attack as well, while she also heals her teammates. Okay, so that is why Varangian Guard was introduced to stop the meta. And everyone hated Brigitte, or that's how you pronounce her name apparently. It's Brigitte. Everyone hated her because she was annoying, she was overpowered, she stopped certain characters from playing the game, and that's pretty much what Varangian Guard does. I can't even find her. That's how much I hate her. Varangian Guard pretty much just stops you from playing the game. Well, to be fair, it stops you from playing the game a certain way and abusing certain moves, because external attacks in For Honor are pretty jank. They're kind of stupid. It's like, oh, why am I getting hit by an attack that's not targeted towards me, okay? But it's understandable because Varangian Guard was to stop the meta. So if you hate Orochis, if you hate external attacks, you know, you play this character, and I totally understand why you would. But Take Shelter got nerfed to 5 HP, used to be 10 HP. It still is a decent amount of healing. Any type of healing from a tier 1 or tier 2, very powerful because you can use this throughout the entire prolonged team fights. Very, very good. I cannot tell you how helpful this is for a ranking guard to get for full block, because this happens a lot. Getting a full block for this character is not that hard. It has insane startup. I think that it definitely needs a nerf. It's one of the most OP moves in the entire game. Instant startup after recoveries, and lasts a very long time. But if you do manage to bait out with a heavy attack, you can do a heavy feint. You have plenty of time to guard break them, unlike like a Black Prior. So if you do a heavy feint and you think they're gonna like you think they're gonna opt select it with the bulwark flip, but you're a little bit hesitant, right? A little bit hesitant because he might do a crushing counter. But if you see him do a bulwark flip, if you're a little bit too late, you're not gonna be able to punish him because the recovery is pretty good. The thing is, Black Prior's flip takes a little bit of skill and know-how, and you can't bait him out as easily. You can bait him out, but it's a little bit easier to bait out Ranking Guard. However, Ranking Guard has a big recovery, unlike Black Prior, but that's because she gets so much utility with her full block that it's just the risk versus reward is just in her favor, 100%. And of course, Acer's Aura, you do so much damage with this for an AoE effect. I think you're always landing on blockable heavy finisher because it is such a ginormous hitbox. It's probably one of the best unblockable heavy finishers in the entire game. It might even be better than Jang Jun's. I kid you not. That's how good this unblockable heavy finisher is. That is how good it is. And it's freaking ridiculously strong. Soft feintable, and is very good hitboxes that goes into your chain bash. You can do an empty mix up, just guard break them and wait for them to do a dodge attack. Just simple shit like that. I mean, this character she is brain rot for sure, but she is good to have on your team. Okay, I love ranking guards on my team. I hate the red team ranking guard, you know? It's so ridiculously powerful. You gotta respect the crap out of this character. And of course, the light attacks are super hard to parry because the animations are just they're just hard to tell, man. They're like Warlord or Shinobi lights. Those are the characters I have the most time parrying, and also Nushias, because they're very distinct hidden animations. They don't move much, you know. They don't move much, so you can't see where their hands are going. You know, are they gonna go on my cock? Are they gonna go on my butt? Or are they just gonna go through my heart? And all that good stuff. So, Ranking Guard still very powerful. They're not gonna nerf this character for a while. They're probably gonna try to nerf characters' external damages and stuff like that, or external team fightings before they nerf Ranking Guard. She is going to be nerfed eventually with her full block, but I think at the moment she's gonna stay strong, remain an S tier pick. Okay, so Shaolin, he did get nerfed recently, but it's a pretty mediocre nerf in my opinion. This is just some adjustments that should have been done a long time ago. As you can see here, his key trap, I think this got nerfed. Wait, did it get nerfed? Do through walls. I don't remember if this got nerfed, but it doesn't really matter at this point. This feat is kind of pointless. They need to rework this or delete the feat, make so that doesn't last the entire game. But what got nerfed was Invigorate. Now, Invigorate used to heal 8 health for every attack from key stance. Now it only deals 4 health, which is pretty solid. Any healing whatsoever, especially from a 50-50 mix. I was reading a comment from one of my viewers, and they were saying that the nerf wasn't justified, or he didn't need this type of nerf. Probably a nerf on some other aspects of his kit. But Invigorate healing for 8 damage was fine, and it was hard for him to deal against Hyper Armor and a bunch of other attacks and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, first of all, I can agree that it can be hard to deal with Hyper Armor for most characters, but Shaolin is definitely not one of those characters because you can Tarzan dodge attack pretty much everything, go into your cheese stance and then crush and counter everything that comes your way, or dodge out of certain moves and get some deflex with it. Shaolin has no problem against Hyper Armor. He's freaking ridiculous when it comes to this 50-50 mix. And when you get into 50-50 mix, which is incredibly easy, which is top light is going to be enhanced. And of course, the dodge attack is one of the best dodge attacks in the entire game. Huge hitbox. It can be a detriment in some cases, but I'd say it's a boon in pretty much 99% of your games. This will give you 4 health every single time you land your cheese stance attack, whether it's blocked or parried. Huge help your team when they're bleeding, when they're on fire. This is ridiculously good. It cleanses everything. 4 health is a fine tier 3. A fine tier 3. You don't even want to be running anything else here. Everything else here is useless for Shaolin. Yuki could be helpful, but heal on block, useless. Invigorate is the meta for him. It's very powerful. Any healing whatsoever on a 50-50 mix, which he gets frequently. He gets this frequently. You can do a light whiff, you can do a heavy whiff, you can do a tar swap dodge attack and get to your mix-up. Shaolin is one of the strongest characters in the entire game with one of the best hitboxes for his chain bash that's also feightable. Ridiculously good character and insane gank setups too. Any character the pin or triple lights that can be delayed, like Kaze's stance, like Fujin cuts. Like, okay, this character is a ganking character and an amazing team fighter. Great staller, anti-ganker. He's got everything. He literally has everything to deal with every single situation. Alright, moving on to Hitakiri. Hitakiri, honestly, I kind of want to put her up here, dude. Hitakiri, absolute menace. This character is the brain rot of For Honor. What happened to my For Honor? What happened to my For Honor? Ever since JC took over, something fishy has been happening, okay? Like, I got my jacket back. I got the JC's jacket on me right now. And I'm starting to smell something, dude. I'm starting to smell mold. Starting to smell mold, bro. And with that, I definitely have brain rot after playing Hitakiri for a couple of sessions. Hitakiri, absolute monster. Basically undodgeable heavies. You have to respect. You have to parry it. If you don't parry it, and if you miss the parry, 22 damage to the face. Enter their 50-50 mix-up, which is very powerful in team fights. Set up some nasty ganks for free damage. Hitakiri, hyper armor on everything. Why does she have hyper armor on neutral heavies? I'm okay with her having hyper armor on her chain heavy attacks, so she can do some trading. But it also promotes mindless plays. I think Hitakiri is a great starter character, but it also makes it so that the person learning the game has a very poor fundamental. Okay, so when they play Hitakiri for the first time, they get into very high MMR lobbies, and they pick up a character like maybe Janhu, or maybe even a Griffin. And maybe Griffin's pretty strong actually, or like maybe a Shaman or Centurion. They're gonna get their ass kicked. Okay. I think that's good though. I think it's good to have strong characters that are easy to use, but they cannot be up here, dude. They cannot be up here. They need to be like down here. They should not be up here dominating games. This character is ridiculously overtuned. If they nerf the hyper armor, it will be okay. The reason why this character got so strong so fast is, well, actually, they made it so that her heavy attacks were a little bit faster and they track better. And that's the reason why this character got so good. Like, even if they added the normal hyper armor, the neutral hyper armor and heavy attacks, you could still dodge her chain heavy attacks, and that would help it so that people with dodge bashes could actually punish her, or dodge attacks. Well, dodge attacks would already be able to punish them, but dodge bash characters wouldn't have that much of an issue. But however, if you use a dodge bash against this character, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna get hit by the chain heavies. So it's a very strong mix-up if you can't parry your heavies, and parrying your heavies can be very scary too. You have to focus. It's like fighting a Shigoki. You have to focus on the heavies. They are reactable, actually, except for Hitakiri. Hitakiri's is not, but Shigoki's is more reactable, much more reactable, whereas Hitakiri's is not. Now that is a scary mix-up if you plan to parry her, so you have to be focused. And so this character is just hyper armor, god machine, target swap this, target swap that with variable timed heavies, target swap her chain kicks. It's just like, dude, there's so much pressure coming from this character, and why do I have to respect her so much? It's because hyper armor makes the character stupid and makes it so that you can just throw attacks willy-nilly. And I guess a lot of people just like to come home from work and just absolutely stomp on the Knights and the Vikings with your Hitakiri smasher. Like, big lady with big axe, count me in, but this is too much brain rot for even me, the lead developer of For Honor. I cannot even tell you how much times 2 Hitakiris on a match would make my life an absolute miserable hell. You know, I wish For Honor had never come to me. I wish the ring had never come to me, dude. But yeah, I mean, not much to say about Hitakiri. Hitakiri is absolute monster. You can practically, you're a free character. You're a free character, and you can just dominate all of the lobbies. If you're fighting like a very sweaty stack, you might have a tougher time, for sure. You might have a tougher time, but I think she still holds so much value. I think even against good opponents, Hitakiri will do very well. If you have a solid team support you, she will do very well. She has 30 damage finisher on blockables, which they nerfed recently. It used to be 34, but now it's 30. I'd say that's a pretty good nerf for her, but it still does a lot of damage and helps confirm damage too. So double infinite heavies, very good for the triple heavy ganks. So if the other character has a bash, they can easily start up that gank. So Hit to Carry will absolutely do a monstrous amount of damage. And with the finisher heavy, it's going to do 30. So you're pretty much dead in a 2v1 situation if the other people know how to gank. Just give up hope, basically. Just give up hope. Not much to say about Hit to Carry. Let's move on. Hit to Carry's S tier. And here we come to Berserker. So Berserker, he got his dodge attacks nerfed significantly. So you can't even do enhanced light attacks anymore. In 1v1s, if you dodge late on a bash, say a Warlord bash, and they do a forward dodge bash, you dodge a little bit late, but you don't get it with a bash, and you clip them, it just bounces off. So you're back to neutral, and that's a very bad thing for Berserker, or any character in general. And I wish they didn't take this route with the character. I'd rather they just remove the ability to dodge cancel after another dodge cancel on a dodge attack. That is the most ridiculous thing ever. Makes the game look like I'm freaking playing Ballerina Simulator. That's ridiculous, okay? Ubisoft, come on, man. Like, I know it adds more variety to the character. It also makes the character look stupid. Let's make the game look good, okay? Bring back my old For Honor with minion kill animations. That's when the game was peak. I'll tell you what. That's when it was peak. You guys agree with me? Anyways, so Berserker, you can't just do this in team fights anymore. So if you're trying to, beforehand, you could be offensive with a neutral dodge attack, but that was only if you target swapped so that they couldn't parry it. It made it so it's unparryable, and you go into your chain 50, mix up with your heavy attacks with hyper armor, so people had to respect you, or you go into your unblockable heavy finisher and target swap back to the guy that you hit externally, and then he'd have to respect it or use a dodge attack and get away from you. But it was very good for team fighting and getting into your chain mix-up and going to hyper armor to stop people from, initiating offense on their own. So you could play defensively and offensively at the same time. And so that nerfed him significantly. I'm going to put him down in the A tiers now. I don't think this character is useless. I think for high-level competitive games, he is probably like a B tier pick now, or maybe A- tier pick. He is not that good anymore. You can't just do whatever you want with it. You actually need some skill with this character, but in matchmaking lobbies, this character, I still might even put him S tier. I'm gonna put him down in A tiers because they did nerf his ability to go and do whatever he wants in team fights. Now, this nerf is not that big of a deal if your positioning is decent, because what you're supposed to do is target swap away and dodge attack away from your enemies, and since you can still dodge attack cancel after a dodge attack, you don't really have that issue. And of course, if someone does have an undodgeable or whatever, you go into your chain hyper armor mix to punish them. And of course, you don't want to be taking too many trades, but in that situation, what else do you have left? So you want to take some nasty trades and get into your mix-ups, and that's totally fine. Berserker still remains supreme as a team fighter and staller, and 1v1 is, you have hyper armor on everything. Hyper armor on literally everything. One of the best forward roll catchers of all times. This character's not bad. Just gonna be hard to use to the full degree, okay? And for competitive games or like high level games, this character's still gonna be, okay pick, but in matchmaking lobby, he's gonna be ridiculously good still if you know how to use him. If you don't know how to use him, it doesn't even matter because he's hyper armor to crutch. He's a crutch character because he just has hyper armor. I like fighting berserkers, but I think sometimes I'd rather fight a Hit to Carry sometimes with a berserker that knows how to get away from me, because at least with Hit to Carry, she only has one dodge attack, and she has to go into heavy follow-up afterwards, and that's when she's baitable. But for Berserker, if you do manage to actually get into that block stun or hit stun, the only characters that can really punish them when they're in that stun state is a character with a good bash, so like Varangian, Shinobi, maybe a Fear. I think Fears might be too slow to punish him. Shaolin, Jang Jun. Characters that have very good forward-reaching bash, because when you're target swapping away from it and trying to out-rotate them, Zerker is one of the best dodges, alright? Zerker is one of the best dodges, just like Raider. Those two characters can dodge very far away from the opponent that they're trying to run away from and stall for longer. Every second counts. Every second counts, and if the character doesn't have a good reach, like Warlord or maybe Janus is kind of bad sometimes, but it also has surprisingly good hitboxes too. But that definitely has some issues, and Berserker, that's the only time you can punish him, when he gets into that block stun. So the character with a good bash can punish him. But that's basically it. I mean, Berserker didn't really get nerfed in any other way besides the dodge cancels, and that makes him a strong character in casual matchmaking, but in competitive games, not going to be that helpful anymore. Now, moseying on over to Blackbriar, he did get Oathbreaker nerfed. Now, Oathbreaker, you could use it before someone was going to pop Revenge, and then make it so that, you know, they wouldn't have any shields afterwards. Oathbreaker is ridiculously unfun. I think this move needs to be nerfed. I think this move needs to be deleted from the game. This removes the fun aspect of For Honor. I think one of the most fun things about For Honor is getting an anti-gank, winning a 1v2. Okay, when you're done playing duels and getting parries and deflects, you move on to the big boy games, okay, where you can start getting double deflects, where you can start getting double crushing counters, you can start getting double light parries, and with Oathbreaker, they remove all of that fun aspects. You can't anti-gank anymore. You can only stall and then dodge roll away, because you're literally going to die in one more hit, because they've already lowered your health down to like 1 HP. So you die in one heavy attack, and now you don't have. Now you have to wait. Now you have to wait. I don't know how long this Oathbreaker lasts. It's probably like you have to stall for like 8 seconds or something like that, or 10 seconds. So before Oathbreaker actually nullifies, and you can get your shield back before you pop Revenge. But in that time, 9 times out of 10, it's already Joe over for you, because an unblockable is already flying in your face. So you have to parry whatever comes at you, and it's just not fun, dude. You ruin a very key part of For Honor. What makes For Honor incredibly fun. Like, whoever designed this feat made it so that it was strictly only for comp players who would mess up on their ganks. That's literally the only reason. The only reason I can see this feat being used is so that if someone messes up on their gank, BP would be like, you know what, fuck you. Like, stop playing the game, dude. Let me win the game already, and let me cap the point. That's what this feat was used for. And imagine 2 Blackbriars, 2 Oathbreakers. You'd get every single time someone would get Revenge, another BP would come in there and use his tier 3 on you. Like, no fun for you, sir. No fun for you. This is For Honor. Oh, you thought you were gonna have fun in this game? No way. No fun for you. So Oathbreaker should be removed, or it should have a bunch of reworks where it deletes shields over time, which I'm totally okay with, or just takes 50% of the shield away. Boom shakalaka. Blackbriar is still a very good character. I kind of want to put him in S tiers, to be honest, but I'm going to leave him in the A tiers. I think he's still very strong. However, it takes a little bit of know-how to not get baited out on your bulwark flip, and you have to learn about team fighting capabilities. I think he's a strong character for sure, especially in matchmaking lobbies, but I fear all of these characters here more than a Blackbriar, unless he has Oathbreaker. So Oathbreaker S tier, Oathbreaker nerf, still S tier, but I'm going to put in A tier because I think he requires a little bit of know-how, and you have to understand character matchups. Jing-Jun, nothing has changed with his character. He's still very strong. I'm going to keep him in the A tiers. He's incredibly good. Great hitbox on his chain heavy finishers, and a great kick mix-up too. Also pins, so it deals a lot of damage and helps set up some nasty-ass ganks. Great teamfight capabilities with the zone attack, having big cleaves after heavy parry. Insane anti-gank and stalling capabilities with his dodges. He has tons of iframes there. You gotta respect it, or try to whiff him out, or try to light him out of it as soon as possible, or as late as possible if he decides to go for a heavy feint into GB mix. So you gotta respect the character, man. If you see an unblockable coming at your way, you have to respect it, so that in team fights, anytime he gets into his chain mix and you're in the middle of an attack, you have to cancel it and get ready to get the hell out of the way. Get the hell out of dodge. That unblockable heavy's gonna do a shit ton of damage if he's got his tier 1 with Deadly, or if he's using his other tier 1, which is probably the better feat to be using, but it does take some time to activate it. It's going to be against all odds. You do more damage, and you deal 5% more damage, gaining an additional 5% per enemy within range, so max is 25%. So if you're in a big team fight, or at least 2 other players, that's a lot of damage that's been adding up. A max of 25% for a full team fight. Like, it's a very powerful tier 1. It has a relatively short cooldown. It's only 45 seconds, so that means you get it back every single team fight. This is more of a team fighting tier 1. I've always been running Deadly, and I've done just fine. If you want to go full meta Sweat Lord, go with this for sure. And of course, you want to be running Inspire. I don't think Benefaction is that good because you want to be ganking. You don't want to be giving your teammates stamina. You want to be giving your teammates more damage. So Inspire and helping with ganks. And then, I mean, Soothing Mist or Second Wind. Second Wind for yourself. If you don't trust your teammates, Soothing Mist is going to take you a long time to use. But you do heal for more enemies around you. Not a big deal. Fury Barrage is very solid. Fire Flask. Phalanx, I would run Phalanx like 9 times out of 10, but these all have their uses, depends on your playstyle and what team comp you're using. Janji, I'm not going to go over too long because this character is already good. You know how the Woolen are. Woolen are very powerful. Nobushi, Nobushi, I think I'm going to keep her in the A tiers. A tier is pretty solid. She still has tons of utility with her bleed. A lot of bleed damage, and just a lot of things you have to respect about the character. With the undodgeables, amazing team fighting. She still has a blade that goes to Revenge Shield, so you're gonna exit out of Revenge with no health whatsoever. I think that's the strongest part about her kit, especially in this meta where you have to respect the character when you're anti-ganking, which makes no sense. So you can't even guard break her sometimes because with her dodge light attacks. She kind of moves away from you, and it's really ridiculous. You have to do like a heavy feint and get very close, and make sure that you don't get hit stun. Because if you get hit stun by her, you can get hit stun by every other attack. You can't guard break her because for some reason Revenge is useless and doesn't have hyper armor. So, or not hyper armor, but you just get knocked out of everything. So Nobushi, you have to respect her when you are in Revenge, which is silly as hell, okay? And of course, Nobushi has insane damage with Way of the Shark. So much damage potential with this character. If you can't react to 566 MS bashes, you're screwed. I can do this pretty easily when I'm focused, but when I'm not focused, I'm just kind of no-brainer with the character. I think she can be relatively scary because she can chip you down and deal a lot of damage to you when you are underestimating her. But if you're really focused in 1v1, she's not a big deal at all. Like, I know a lot of players are going to suffer against her, especially old gen players who can't deal with Nobushi 5MS chain lights and her chain 50-50 mix-up, the undodgeable and the slow kick. But I understand your frustration, but this character is not that strong in 1v1, where she excels at team fighting and guaranteeing certain moves and making opponents stop dodge attacking because her undodgeable heavy finishers are so freaking good. So this character is going to be a noob stomper, especially in the casual matchmaking lobbies. But if you fight anybody that is competent in 4v4 and you come up against them, you're going to get shredded if you don't respect the other opponent because she has to play defensively. She can't play offensively. So not much to say about Nobushi hasn't got nerfed yet. Shigoki, still the same. I think this character is ridiculously good, especially for stomping on casual matchmaking lobbies. Most players won't be pairing his heavy attacks. Very good hug for ganks. Great bash that deals direct damage and it's hard to punish with a forward dodge. And of course the chain dodge one, the side dodge one is going to be much more punishable. But I mean, with the animations and the timing of this bash, I'd say it's very good to use still. Insane iframes, much better than Lawbringers. Poor Lawbringer. He's just begging out in the street right now. He should just go beg. If you go to Ubisoft headquarters, you will see him begging on the street for buffs. But yeah, there's not much to say about Shigoki. He's very powerful. It's hyper armor for days. So there's that. Any character with hyper armor, incredibly strong. I promise you that much. Centurion is, I think he's still going to remain an A tier pick. Very powerful. He did get nerfed this season with Pugio, but that's about it. Pugio was a nerf that should have been done years ago, but they didn't. You know how Ubisoft is. They don't focus on feats that much. But with this, Pugio now deals 15 damage only. You still 25 damage, and it traps and pins them for 2 seconds. So that's a pretty big nerf for Pugio. However, Pugio still remains a very powerful tier 3 because 300 MS startup, that is unreactable. You have to focus on the animation entirely, but if there's a hill, you can dodge it. If you're super duper far away, you can dodge it very easily. However, this still has a ton of utility because one, it pins, so they can't activate Revenge. So if you get hit by this, you cannot pop Revenge until they land their heavy. When they hit you with the heavy, boom, you take damage, and then you can pop Revenge. But in that moment, 9 times out of 10, you're pretty much already dead. This guarantees so much damage and has very good utility being so fast. They have to nerf it down to 500 MS activation time, or maybe even 600 ms, because it is a projectile so incredibly overpowered in my opinion. Not that fun to fight against in my opinion, because it takes away your ability to counterplay it. Okay, there needs to be counterplay for feats, in my opinion. So that's very powerful. That's pretty much it. Centurion's still going to remain relatively the same. He's not. I want to emphasize that he is not an anti-ganker. He is not a team fighter. He is a 1v1er and a duelist and a ganker. That's what he is. That is his role in this economy. All right, in this economy, you have to pick your fights carefully. You can't just go into a 1v2 and expect to win, because his ganking, his anti-ganking is just so ass. If you make someone fall down, you go into your Eagle's Talon, it's Joe over. You waste like 5 seconds, because what I do is that when he uses Eagle's Talon, I wait like 1 second or two for him to do heck yeah. So when he's almost done with goading on his or taunting his opponent, I guard break him. Then I throw him to a wall, and then I heavy attack where I bash, and then he loses so much time. Like all that time wasted doing a 40 damage Eagle's Talon with Revenge. It's just not worth it. So Centurion needs the ability to throw a normal heavy, a top heavy, or his left and right heavy should be normal heavies, and his top one should always be Eagle's Talon. So he has the option to use other mix-ups besides fully committing to an Eagle's Talon. So Centurion, ganker, one of the highest damage punishes in the entire game with wall splats and heavy parries. So Haymaker makes him incredibly busted when it comes to damage potential, but that means you have to get parries. If you cannot get parries with Centurion, he is useless. I would probably put him down in like B tiers if you can't get parries. I would probably put him down in B tiers if you can't do any parries, because if you do manage to get your 50-50 mix, which is very good, but there's a lot of drawbacks to his mix. You get interrupted, you miss level 1, you get a free guard break from a guard break enemy's guard break. The enemy guard breaks you for free, and you just take a lot of damage. You have to make a read upon a read and mind game your opponent. So without any parries, you are going to be B tier in my opinion. But if you know how to parry, you know, have some game sense, and you're decent enough where you can parry some attacks or heavy attacks, you're good to go, baby. Centurion is going to be very high up there. If you can parry heavy attacks, you're good to go. You don't need to parry light attacks with this character, because variable time heavies will chip them down. Incredibly strong. Okay, so moving on to Pirate. Pirate, dude, I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna put I want to put her back up in S tier, because this character is so freaking good. I'm gonna put her back in S tier. She is ridiculously good. For the people that said that Pirate's dog shit, that is strictly only for the 0.01% in the highest echelon of gaming when it comes to competitive play. Pirate in matchmaking lobbies is S tier. She has so much utility with her mix. The reason why they say she is shit is because she's not a good duelist to a reactionary player who can react to animations, okay? And I would guess that 99% of you are not playing like you're playing in the Dom series, okay? I would assume that you guys are not taking this game so seriously, because there's so many freaking clowns in this game, right? So for us who are mostly drunk while playing this godforsaken game for at least 10 hours a day, this character is going to be a nightmare, especially a good pirate that can just target swap dodge attack 24/7 with the biggest dodge attack hitbox, one of the biggest dodge attack hitboxes, going into your chain 50-50 mix with an undodgeable or 5 MS bash that deals direct damage, or going into hyper armor heavy finisher that deals a shit ton of damage, that also goes into pistol blast, that also stops hyper armor with their pistol gun blast. That is so powerful, ridiculously good in my opinion. I kind of want to even put her all the way up here. It doesn't even matter where she goes. She has uses everywhere. This character, the forward undodgeable mix with the unblockable heavy finisher or an unblockable heavy neutral attack, is going to be still very good. It's still very good to get reactions from your opponents, and it's insanely good in ganking situations. You can guarantee very easy damage follow-ups and free heavy attacks from your teammates by landing that pistol blast. It does feed quite a bit of revenge, but it doesn't matter, because you should be getting as much damage as possible, and then finish them off with both hands afterwards, as Pirate does, because she is a tomboy, Chinese tomboy, you know what I'm saying? But this character breaks through hyper armor, man. Breaks through hyper armor is so freaking good, and has the utility of dodge cancels after a dodge attack. That is ridiculously good, and since Zerker got nerfed to the ground with that, I think that brings Pirate up. That puts her back up there, because she's gonna break hyper armor on this character, on this character, on this character, on this character, this character, this character, this character, all of them. She counteracts everybody with hyper arm because she has enough time after a dodge attack to go into pistol blast and boom, then she can dodge attack again, making it very safe. So if someone doesn't have Varangian Guard or Kyoshin or Aramusha or Black Prior, and you're stuck with like a Peacekeeper, a Conqueror, and a Lawbringer, and a Yoring Under, it's like, okay, she can just reign supreme. She will anti-gank you. She will deal so much damage with Walk the Plank. You can wall spot, get some free damage for your opponent. I mean, this gank is ridiculous. This character is insane. Whoever says she's bad doesn't know how to play her and doesn't understand how the character works. Well, to be fair, you've seen pirates dance around and do a shit ton of damage and do whatever the hell they want. This character is strong. This character is strong. Only for the highest tiers of play. For 1v1, she is trash. But for highest tiers of play, even in 4v4, she is S tier. I knew she was good. I've been telling you guys she was insane from the start, and a lot of people doubted me. Oh, she's trash. And like, no, she's not, dude. She's fucking insane. But let's move on. That's enough pirate, because she did actually. I don't think she got nerfed this patch with any of her feats. Her feats kind of do need nerfs, in my opinion. Well, they also need adjustments too, because with your tier 3, pirates tier 3, it hits your teammates, which is very. I guess that does make sense. But getting a guarantee trick shot with like landing a heavy attack or running heavy is kind of ridiculous. It does a lot of damage. It is a high cooldown, but it also pivots to like other enemies and deals a shit ton of blade. I don't know. It's very powerful for sure. Very, very powerful. But that's enough about pirate. Pirate's S tier. I think she's S tier, 100%. Okay, moving on here. We have Aramusha. Now Aramusha, I want to put him a little. I do want to put this character into a higher tier, or not higher. I want to keep him here because he is so good against all of these people who dodge attack 24/7. Because this character will get guaranteed damage off of them, like easy 16 damage on his heavy full block move. Whereas the top one deals 10 or 20 damage, which is very good, but it's more for 1v1. But Aramusha remains a relative tank. However, they did nerf Juggernaut. Juggernaut was one of his saving graces, because you could basically act as a tank. But now you only get 20% damage reduction, and that's not too much when you compare it to someone who has like Bastion already. And he already has Bastion, so it's 10%. And Bastion does add up, but I mean 20% for a tier 2. You don't really have any other good choices. Like Smoke Bomb is okay. It's not even that helpful. Short Tempered is also pretty meh. This is one of the most useless feats in the game, I'd say. In my opinion, maybe next to Punch Through and Conquer. But like this feat doesn't really do much either for you. You do if you take chip damage, you block a heavy attack. You do gain this buff for 5 seconds, which is not too shabby. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is probably something you want to run if you don't want to be immobile for 10 seconds, but Juggernaut got nerfed significantly, so I think that does bring Aramusha down a little bit. However, I think Aramusha is still very strong because he has access to that instant full block. So if you're good with the character, you can have decent full blocks. I think he's still going to remain a strong A tier pick, in my opinion. I don't think this changes too much about him. I think the character still remains a strong ganker, good team fighter, and a pretty decent staller too. A good Aramusha can be tough to fight against. If you can't, you also have to make a read comparing those deadly feints, and his heavy finishers and chain heavies deal so much freaking damage. So I don't think my opinion's gonna change. I think it's gonna remain relatively the same, and a very good noob stomper and matchmaking stomper. Kyoshin, however, I'm probably gonna put him. I'll keep him here. This character's still a very strong ganker, an okay staller, but you know, of course, his best tool is his Fujin cuts. So any gank whatsoever, if you end up in a 1v2 against Kyoshin and any other character that knows how to gank, you're screwed. You're not going to be able to touch this guy. This guy is going to stay in full block simulator. He's going to be jerking off while you are basically going to get jerked off. You're going to get jerked off by him and his teammates. So this character, you have to respect the crap out of him. Solid 50-50 mix with his chain. Although his chain bash is a little bit more reactable, but he still has that undodgeable mix and an unblockable heavy attack from his Kazakhstan. So it's very strong from neutral. And there's not much to say about him. Tier 1 is ridiculously good and also adds bleed and does a crap load of damage for a tier 1, which is kind of crazy. They should probably do adjustments or nerf this feat, because I think this feat does way too much damage. I mean, it's 4 bleed damage for each of your attacks. Like, that's insane, dude. That is actually insane for how much times you actually get Fujin cuts. Very powerful for just having someone hit you. So that's very good in team fighting capabilities because Kyoshin, everyone is dodge attacking you or trying to target swap dodge attacks, so you can stay in full block and get some free value. Very strong, not much to say about him. Warmonger, I'm gonna keep her in. I might put her down. I feel like she's a little bit hard to use, but I think I'll keep her in A tier because she's easy to use and gets very good, what do you call it? Very good value from her feats and her undodgeable neutral heavy attack, which is a great roll catcher, and her unblockable heavy attack, dodge attack that has amazing iframe. So can't underestimate this, but it can be easily baited out if you have a character that has good light attacks, because you can easily interrupt her on reaction when she uses unblockable heavy attack. So a character like maybe Shaolin with his zone, Medja with his lights, a pirate with her lights or zones, and Heat to carry. And of course, I think Shinobi has to use his zone attack, but it depends on where it depends on where she goes actually, because I've had trouble trying to get her with the Shinobi light attacks, or light attacks for sure don't hit her. Zone attacks might. Afiris is very good. Warden, you can't. It'll be hard to option select this or stop her from neutral. You have to use a zone. But yeah, not much to say about this character. Feats make her incredibly strong. Chain 50-50 mix is very good. And if you haven't seen my video on Warmonger, where you can do a fully charged batch, you can land a top heavy or side heavy instead of the normal praise claw, whatever you call it, normal 20 damage heavy attack. So very good. That's not much to say about Warmonger. You just gotta keep her in A tier, in my opinion. Very easy to use, enhanced lights for days, and hyper armor on finisher heavies. So Warlord, I'm gonna keep him up in the A tier. It's very easy to use, hyper on everything, amazing full block stance with tons of utility, and amazing ledging tools with great throw distance. One of the best, I think it's the second best throw distance, and deals so much damage. Basically takes away like 1/3 of your health or 1/3 of your stamina bar. So you have to respect him from the neutral. And great crushing counters and hyper armor to trade, zone attack undodgeable. Juggernaut did get nerfed, but I don't think this affects him like that much because he already had amazing trading potential with his hyper armor. He didn't really care anyways, and he still did very well. This character, I can definitely turn off my brain and do incredibly well with him. Against like higher tier players or higher tier characters, I still do very well with him. Very well with him because he has a strong kit, and you have to respect his trades and his frame advantage with his light attacks and heavy attacks. So incredibly powerful character in my opinion. Now, moving on to Griffin. I think I want to put Griffin up. I'll probably put Griffin up here, dude. Griffin has gotten pretty powerful in my opinion. I think, you know, I'm gonna put Orochi and Varangian. You know, I'll just keep them right here. Actually, I'm gonna put Griffin up here. Oh, you know, let's put Griffin. Let's put Griffin up top and move Warmonger down to A-. I think Warmonger is strong, but she requires a little bit of know-how first because she doesn't have like that much damage when it comes to the neutral. She has to use her chain bash just like Warden, and those are very, very baitable, and the risk versus reward is only in your favor if you mix them up. So Griffin, very strong now. I'm gonna put him like up here. He's incredibly good. I think he might even be stronger than Centurion actually. In 4v4, very powerful character right now, insanely good. I kind of want to put him up in the. He's not S tier for sure. I think this character can be insane, especially with the forward light being enhanced now. Super duper strong. You have to respect the crap out of it, and you go into his heavy finishers, which deal so much damage. With Griffin, I think his feats are his best qualities. It's just so cool to have a healer type character that also has very good team fighting capabilities. I mean, all of these right here, they heal. Dragonite's Miss, 16 meter for 15 health. Dragonite Bolt deals damage and heals 15 health and AoE. And Dragonite Cleanser, if you want to run this. I like to run Champion's Aura though. It's freaking badass as hell. Just running around with a healing stalwart banner. It's like, oh my god, dude, check out those booty cheeks on the Griffin. It's freaking helping us so much. Like, you get so much value from this character, and with rapid refresh, you can get these back instantly. It's insane. So Griffin has so much use. Forward light is enhanced. The bash is not too shabby, and it goes to undodgeable mix or kick mix up. And then he has triple heavy, so easy to set up some ganks. So with characters that have bashes, it's like boom shakalaka, baby. That's like freaking a bajillion damage right there. Like huge amounts of value from this character. Not much to say. I mean, he's pretty easy. When I'm no-brainer with this character, you can do fairly well. Even against good players, they have to respect the crap out of you. They have to respect you. And so Griffin definitely has skyrocketed up to the list ever since that enhanced light. So that's very powerful and good for this dude right here. So if you guys have been enjoying Griffin, I think he's great fashion, and he's a strong character used in 4v4 and in 1v1s too. Alright, now moving on to Kensei. Kensei in the A- tier category. So I think with Kensei, we're gonna have to do a few adjustments. So Kensei, I think I'm gonna bring him down a little bit past these characters. I don't think he had as much of a use. I don't know why I put him so high up there, to be honest. I know he's a good character with the triple heavy ganks, solid opener, but he's just very slow and easily baitable with a dodge attack. Great for new players, obviously, with cool chains, a decent opener, and a good dodge attack. But with all the characters having such strong defensive capabilities, I don't think his mediocre offense and mediocre defense is just not that comparable. You have to work pretty hard to get value out of him. Like, good Kensei definitely is scary, but you can say that for any of the characters up here. Like, a good player playing any of these guys, man, you are absolutely screwed, man. Pull your pants down right now and just give them everything. Give them everything. Submit to them. Just submit to them. But with Kensei, I mean, you don't really have that much. You just have the basic tools of a few soft feints here and there, some hyper armor trades on your heavy finishers, which, don't get me wrong, it does a lot of damage, but it's hard to get into that mix. He's just a good team fighter, a decent peeler as well, and you have to understand that you're not just a free character with dodge attacks anymore because Varangian Guard exists, all the full black characters exist, and it's going to be hard for you to get a lot of value if you don't play perfectly, really. If you don't play like super optimally with this character, you're gonna eat a lot of damage. That's pretty unnecessary. There hasn't been too much changes with them on the recent nerfs. I don't think Kensei was included on it, and I think he got his stare nerfed a long time ago. I still run this. I mean, this is a pretty solid feat still. I mean, it's 50%, they take 50% more damage, which is not too shabby. A lot of people are running Inspire instead. I mean, you get like a 20-second AoE buff, is 20% more damage, but I kind of just like using Chilling Stare, setting it on an enemy, and then kind of getting out of dodge if I need to go back to the point. You know, if there's already two people fighting there, I don't need to stay there. I can just put it there and just get some free value, you know, just some free value. I mean, the cooldown for the tier 2 for Inspire and Chilling Stare are pretty much the same, but this one follows an enemy around, and then Inspire you have to follow actually follow the enemy. So it's up to your playstyle. Personally, I think Kensei is still going to be an okay pick. I think he's one of the more balanced characters. I never not have fun fighting this character. Obviously, he needs a few tweaks to make him a little bit stronger while remaining balanced. He's definitely a little bit underpowered, but he's underrated for sure. He just needs a few tweaks to make him more balanced and strong, while not being super oppressive, unlike all these characters, which have some egregious things that make you want to freaking pull all your hair out and mold and divorce your boyfriend for playing any of these top tiers. All right, divorce your boyfriend right now. That's pretty much with Kensei though. Let's move on to Lawbringer. Now, Lawbringer, this is a tricky one. Lawbringer, I think he is a good character, but that's only if you can parry. With the re-rate that he got, he's objectively better. Don't get me wrong, he's objectively better. If you add a hyper armor to a character, he's better, okay? But if you also took away so much fun aspects about his kit. Yes, his heavy parry punishes were way too strong. The stun was ridiculous, okay, on the top heavy neutral. But he lacks in so many other areas now. His neutral bash is still the same. It's not even that good for an opener. However, he does get to keep his forward dodge into a heavy, it's kind of like a heavy soft feint or a heavy attack that cancels your dodge. And it can catch people who do a dodge, which is very cool. Like, a lot of characters don't have that. I think the only characters that have that are Nobushi and Lawbringer. I believe that is it, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, those are the only two characters. Correct me if I'm wrong, But those are the only two characters that have that type of pseudo mix-up. Catch people who dodge. Like, obviously with Nobushi, it makes no sense to do that to an extent, unless she gets a forward dodge kick, which would be pretty insane. But with Lawbringer, they gave him hyper armor, and then they reduced his parry punishes. And the worst part is they reduced his neutral heavy damage to dealing only 20 damage, and the follow-up dealing 4 damage. And so this is very detrimental to him in team fights, because if you actually do land a heavy attack, which is very good for you to do so, because it would deal 24 damage, you get a lot of damage. But now with Bastion, with characters like Bastion, and also having damage reduction on a lot of feats, you'll deal like 18 damage for a heavy attack. That is so bad for like a neutral heavy without the follow-up tap. Because sometimes you want to go into a hyper armor attack, a hyper armor trade on another character, and that is what you want to be doing instead of just doing the tap afterwards into your unblockable mix. In team fights, maybe in a 2v2, it's okay to go into your unblockable mix, but say like 8 times out of 10, you want to go into hyper armor anyways to scare your opponent into trading with you. And so that's why Lawbringer is objectively a better character, but his neutral damage just got nerfed significantly, and I don't know why they did that. I hate that aspect of him. Why do the second tap of moves have to deal like 4 damage? That goes the same for like a lot of the characters like Shinobi, Orochi, those characters that have double taps. The Fall Blight deals more damage than the base first iteration of the attack. So I want to propose the idea of Lawbringer getting a 23 damage heavy with the tap dealing 1, so you can go into your unblockable mix-up if you want to, and if you have that option to. But I want his neutral game to remain strong, so his punishes can still be good without being freaking a joke. You're hitting people with a wet noodle. It's dealing 18 damage. Like, that is so pathetic. That is actually so pathetic. But with Lawbringer, objectively better, but of course, just hyper armor is so boring. You don't have any cool heavy parry punishes. You only get impale, a light parry. It's so stupid. Nobody plays this character anymore because he's bad. He's bad and objectively boring as fuck to play. I hate this character. I still play it strictly only for ad mortem. That is literally the only reason I play his characters, because I like getting light parries with them. I do get light parries with them on 4v4, and I do incredibly well with them in 4v4, but sometimes it's just mind-numbingly boring waiting for parries and fishing them out and staring at people while you're getting hit, getting backshotted by every single character who can external dodge attack and dodge bash you and dodge attack you. It's just so annoying because your dodge bash sucks. Your dodge bash sucks. Okay, I'm gonna put him like A- tier actually. But if you're good with the character, 100%, I'd probably put him up here. But that means you have to be able to dodge 600 MS Gladiator toe stabs and make a read against Valkyrie bashes. Be able to parry 600 MS light attacks from Janhu's unblockables, and parry 500 MS on dodges from Janhu, and of course all of these characters up here. So make very good reads and you can do very well. But you know, Lawbringer, very hard to use, but really cool looking with the best fashion in the entire game. So Lawbringer, terrible, and with Juggernaut nerfed, you are going to be significantly easier to kill, like much easier to kill, because you're not going to have that crush anymore. Like a lot of Lawbringer plays use Juggernaut, and that was definitely the right play, because you had so much utility from that feat. You could stall forever, and you could really hold your own against team fights. Now you have to run Righteous Deflection. You have to get the parries. If you don't get the parries, you don't get the 50% damage reduction, and you should be rewarded for getting nice parries, because you do have a unblockable zone attack, which is cool, but you have no roll catcher. You have no roll catcher, so it doesn't matter anymore. So you just kind of have an anchor, and then after the 5 seconds, it's show over, and then you have a 10-second cooldown. I think Juggernaut still has its uses, but you just can't rely on it and take so much trades anymore. And that's good, because Juggernaut definitely needed a nerf, but now you can't rely on this, so he's much weaker, and that's why I'm bringing him a lot lower in the tier list. I still think he's a strong character. You need to be very good with him. And for the amount of effort that you have to put into this character, and to be rewarded with like not that much damage, or just damage that's insignificant and not as good as it used to be, I would probably put him like B tier. I would probably put him like shit tier. But since I think this character is so fun and strong when used correctly, a good staller, if you can parry with your tier 2, Righteous Deflection, and get into your unblockable mix, and punishing people with your enhanced lights, and go into your 50-50 mix-up with getting into a heavy attack armor. For some reason, people like to eat that a lot, and they also like to parry it a lot too, which makes sense. But I want to put him in like A-. I do want to put him like the B tier. I might actually put him in B tier, but I've seen some good Lawbringer players on in my games, and they definitely can hold their own. It can be hard fighting them because he does have the heavy perks. He does have Bastion, Vengeful Berry, and Last Stand. So you do need to respect him. But if you have some good ganks, he can definitely just stall you for days. You're on second wind, which I usually do. Heal up, get another Last Stand activation, with Bastion. I think he's a decent character. He's not absolutely the worst character for sure. But I think I'm gonna bring him down B tier. Because he's just not as good as he used to be. The amount of effort you have to put into this character to get any kind of potential reward comparative to these guys are just way too much. I think he's trash tier. We'll put him like B tier. He's not horrible. If you can get some parries, he will absolutely shred people. But if you don't, if you make some bad reads, you just get demolished. So moving on to I think we're moving on to Jormungandr. Jormungandr, solid character, great ganks. It can be hard to catch people in team fights with this character, but you have so much strong utility with your hyper armor traits and your displacements that the clutch potential of this character is so high. Like, you can get so much displacements with your heavy finishers and target swapping them too. They have pretty big hitboxes. Tier 3 Zealot's Bolt is very good. I mean, it has pretty decent tracking, it takes away the stamina, and deals quite a significant amount of damage too. I mean, you cannot underestimate Jormungandr. If you know how to use Jormungandr, he is very scary. Like, very scary. High damage punishes. I know you only get 22 if you get a Garbreak, but if there's a wall nearby, you get a knee into a wall splat to top heavy. It's very good. I cannot stress how strong this character is in the right hands. He has a lot of damage and a lot of good feats to help him too. Feats are very powerful for Jormungandr. I will say that Jotun Salve, I think this is still a very good feat. He has 4 health. I mean, that is a good tier 1 in my opinion. I'd rather run this than Body Count and Tireless in my opinion. A little bit of healing is incredibly helpful for characters like Bleed or Peacekeeper and Fire. You get 2 of them, helpful. Hamar's Favor, getting a bunch of shields and Zealot's Bolt, 25 damage and wall splats, takes away all their stamina, very good. It does have counterplay since it is a projectile, and it's also very slow. And the Twilight of the Gods is it's a team fight winning feat. Although you can get bashed out of it, you have to be careful. But Jormungandr, good hitboxes on his zones, his light attacks, and his unblockable finishers, amazing pin for ganks. What more can I say? And of course, nut slams. You are going to be sore the next day, I promise you. Tiandi, I think, is going to remain in this in the same tier list in my opinion with Jormungandr. These are all the characters that are like fairly balanced, strong, but not too overbearing at times. His Dragon Dodge is easily guard breakable. If you guys don't know, you can pretty much just light interrupt him as soon as he gets into it. It's pretty ridiculous, or towards the end of it. There's no mix-ups from this, so all you have to do is block it. He can reposition in team fights pretty easily, so it's easy to get away from certain mix-ups. However, you can be guard broken very easily in the beginning, so you have to watch out for that as a Tiandi player. You still have undodgeable lights and very fast 400 MS chain light attacks, a good bash that can soft feint or cancel, dodge attack cancel into another dodge attack or another bash, so it's very powerful. Be careful though, because if you do land that first bash into a light, you don't have frame advantage where you can get interrupted. A light attack, so it's good to do a forward heavy at times or just an empty dodge to bait out people light attacking or zone attacking you. So be careful about that as a Tiandi player. However, he does have that dodge light. It's I'd say it's a pretty easy parry 9 times out of 10. So don't use it too much. Use it sparingly and just try to bait out your opponent a little bit more. So his damage is pretty good. It's mediocre when it comes to all of those light attacks, but it all adds up because it's pretty freaking fast. So you have to respect that about Tiandi. But once you external him, he's not that much of a problem anymore. Just watch out for his heavy finishers because they have surprisingly good tracking. So I'm gonna keep him in the A- tiers. Beats are still pretty good, and there's not much to say about Tiandi. It's just nothing has changed about him. Same thing for Valkyrie. Nothing has changed about Valkyrie. I feel like she is a strong character, but you have to kind of know how to use her too, because her entire mix is heavily dependent on watching your opponent and mind gaming them, because she does have a fast form as bash, but that requires you to not get guard broken in the first place. It's easily guard broken, but it's fast as heck. incredibly good for ganks though. If you know her ganks, just light confirm after she does her follow-up light attack, and then boom shakalaka, bash, sweep, then boom, you get a freaking heavy, and they also get, your teammate also gets heavies too, so if you know how to utilize her, she is so good. 4 lights enhanced, so if you don't parry that, you're screwed. Dodge attack is a pretty good range too. One of the best roll catchers with 4 dodge light, and decent, I'd say decent hitbox on her heavy attacks. Sometimes I will have people just phase through my heavy attacks, which is pretty unlucky, but you know, I think she has so much use already. Good mid clear too with her zone attack. One of the best mid clears in the game, to be honest. But with Javelin, Bloodlust, Bounty Hunter, Fire Flask, I think she has tons of uses in this meta. I don't think she's a bad character at all. Okay, now moving on to Zhanhu. Zhanhu is fairly balanced. I think he needs some tweaks in the future, but I'd say at the moment, he is a skill-based character. You can't just do whatever you want with him. He is soft-feintable, unblockable heavy finishers with pretty good tracking, mind you, and so is the undodgeable zone, but with characters like Orochi, Varangian Guard, and Black Prior and Kyosha in the mix, you can get easily punished by throwing that out, so you have to be very careful and time it correctly, and of course your undodgeable is 600 MS only. I remember when it was 500 MS, I think it was ridiculously freaking OP. You can even block that shit when you target swap with the zone. But with 600 MS, it's fairly reactable if you're paying attention. But I'd say the worst part about this kit is the unblockable 600 MS light attacks. Those are just free parries against anyone that's paying attention. Any PC player is going to parry those. I never really use those. The only time I use those is when I target swap them, or when they're very low HP in team fights. That's the only time I use it, because that's when people least expect it. But I never really use them in duels. I use the heavy feint into light, heavy feint to guard break, heavy feint to nothing, or heavy feint to bash mix up. That's what I do with Zhanhu, and I do find a lot of good results with the character if you use that type of mix up. I would not use the unblockable light attacks, because those are just free parries. But of course, if you do use them, you can mix them up and be like, oh, and now you can just throw a raw heavy. Like 9 times out of 10, I don't think that's gonna work. But it does work from time to time, and you gotta understand that about Zhanhu, but he has to throw that light attack first, and I don't think that's a really good idea to use. I'd rather just go for the unblockable mix every single time and just wait out their parries, in my opinion. So Zhanhu is still strong, but I think he needs some tweaks in the future with cool deflex, and Twithlin Rose with the kunai does a lot of damage. Of course, it's going to feed revenge in team fights a lot, but it does a lot of damage for a tier 2, so definitely got to respect that. Not much to say about his feats. He does have longbow, but that's about it, and not much to say. I'm gonna keep him A- tier. He's still a good pick in my opinion, but he's definitely not gonna be like the strongest character to use. I think at the highest levels, a good Zhanhu is incredibly scary. I might even put up an A tier, but for the ease of use and the difficulty of all these characters surrounding him, I think he's a little bit harder to use. I might even put him up. I think he's a better fighter than Kensei, and maybe Valkyrie. I mean, honestly, I'd rather have a Zhanhu than a Warmonger on my team. But at the same time, I mean, looking at my tier list here, it seems okay when I adjusted everything. But I think this seems alright. I don't think we need to adjust it for pure strength. I'll probably put him like up here if I needed to. But I think I'd probably put like Zhanhu like right here, right around here, because he's a strong pick for sure. But he's definitely not the weakest. He has more utility than a lot of other characters, especially when we're coming down to the A- and the B tiers. Like these guys definitely need some help. Raider definitely underrated. However, definitely underrated. So I would probably keep him here. He's not a bad character. He still has triple chain heavies, good for triple ganks. A lot of hyper on everything. Good zone attack for team fights and confirming easy ganks. Stampede charge for ledging and gank potential. So he has a very good kit. He's just outshadowed by how strong people are ganking, you know. How much damage, how much ganking they can do. His heavy attacks, they don't even deal as much damage as they used to. And everyone just has an edge against him, really. I'd probably put him like up here, around here. He's definitely not a bad character. Like, not a bad character, but he can get out-traded. He can get stopped by Varangian Guard, out-traded by Hitakiri, outflipped by Black Prior, outtraded by Zerker, and outtraded by also by Shigoki too, which is kind of crazy. He can just be stopped in his track with a heavy into bash. And then Pirate can break through his hyper armor. Majai has more use. He has better ganks now. Kaze stance. Freaking Warlord. I think Warlord is even better. He can definitely outtrade a Raider. So Raider definitely fell down, but he's so good if you know how to use him. And he has fun mix-ups that you can use with his Storming Tap. Not a bad character. Still has Fury Flask. Fury did get nerfed, however, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. It needed to be nerfed a long time ago. Fury Flask got nerfed to 20%, I believe, from 50, so good nerf, but Raider's still very solid in my opinion. Now Gladiator, I want to put Gladiator, I might push Gladiator down to like B tier, but I feel like he's a pretty solid character, just as long as you're not doing a bajillion team fights, you know? If you get him in 1v1s and 2v1s, he's so strong. Most people aren't going to be dodging 600 MS bashes consistently. Even good players aren't going to be dodging this like all the time. They'll probably dodge it like 7 out of 10 times. I can probably dodge this like 8 out of 10 times. Like 7 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times. If I'm focusing and looking at this, but most of the time I'm not going to be focusing anyways. And of course, this Chain Bash, it's a 500 MS instead of 600 MS, so the neutral one is really good. It's also good for your neutral game because you can push enemies away from you and stop them trying to be offensive on you. Because once you do that, they have to respect it. Otherwise, they're going to get hit by another toe stab and they're going to whiff punish you. So you got to respect that about Gladiator. And of course, the Skewer does so much freaking damage. It's ridiculously good, and it can also wall splat. Throw him on the wall, get major damage, very good damage values, but team fighting capabilities are just freaking non-existent. Sucker Punch is good for evading mix-ups and stalling for a little bit, but after that, like you have no anti-gank, and that's very bad. Like that's very bad for you. Once you get it, you're pretty much screwed, especially with all the hyper armor and the heavy attacks coming at your way. You have to parry and you have to get out of dodge. So I think if you're bad at team fighting, he's gonna go down to the B tiers. If you're decent at team fighting and decent at dueling and ganking and understand how the toe stab mix-up works, when to not feed revenge, he's going to be an A- tier character. I think he still has a lot of utility. Even against a good player, you can stall for days. I fear a very good Gladiator because they're going to outspace me and they're going to make very good reads against me and make it so it's so annoying to fight against, you know? Like when I'm playing Warlord against like a Gladiator or maybe a Kyoshin against a Gladiator or any character that doesn't have as much ability or strong chain pressure, a Gladiator can be very scary because he's pretty strong in the neutral. Very strong in the neutral if you can play well defensively. But yeah, I'd say Gladiator's still very good. Pugio, I mean not Pugio, Trident, a Haymaker does a lot of damage, throw punish, or your guard breaks, throw, and then do a heavy attack, go into Skewer mix-up, or just do an empty guard break, which is very good. A lot of people they're trying to dodge on prediction and punish you, and you just punish them that way. So I'd say Gladiator's strong, just don't underestimate him. Alright, so moving on here. Let's see here. The next character we have, I think we're done with the A- tier heroes. And I've talked about everyone. Highlander. Highlander is going straight up the tier list, dude. I think I might even put him S tier, my guy. I might put Highlander S tier just for the ease of use and the amount of hyper armor this motherfudger gets. I also want to put him in like A tier, but dude, this guy has like so much good hitboxes with his heavy attacks. He does have a few clunky mechanics at the moment where if you like kick feint, the timing, you have to be like very good with the timing, strict timing, to not let that accidental heavy attack fly. Because sometimes you want to go back into your offensive stance, but sometimes it just flies out, and it's good. It's good on a rare moment because people who do dodge attacks, your heavy attack's gonna track them. It's gonna hit them hard. Not gonna have enough time to dodge cancel out of it. So it can be a good mix. But with the amount of utility that this motherfudger has, I'm putting him up an S tier, dude. This guy is ridiculously good. Caber Toss has very good momentum. It can also roll catch now, so very powerful for him as offensive stance, light attacks. Good hyper armor. You can get a heavy on every single guard break. Now, just be careful though, because there's a bug where you can't delay your heavy attacks, and you will make it so that they can block the heavy attacks. So don't delay them. But for most characters, if you get a guard break and you do a heavy attack, you can delay it to the last second and land a free heavy, and it gives your teammate more time to react and throw a follow up heavy too. And with that, Highlander can't do that, but you have so much utility with your kick mix-up. It's feintable now. Your kick is feintable. Your to caber, also roll catches, and you have a dodge attack within your offensive stance. You can't wave dash anymore, but that was pretty niche anyways. You have way more utility with your dodge attack with your offensive stance. It looks so jank. It is a light parry, but it doesn't matter because he can just target swap that, and it's very hard. The animation looks very jank. And then of course he still keeps crushing counters from external damage. So high damage values, 26 damage on offensive stance, a light attack, and then you get a light parry. It's 27 damage for a neutral heavy, goes into your offensive stance. And of course his zone is hyper armor. It goes into a heavy finisher. It goes into a zone again. So you just feint that 24/7 or go for some nasty trades. I cannot stress how strong this is. This is a very powerful tool. A lot of people aren't expecting you to throw those heavies, and if you do it, you can just feint them anyways and go for a garbage to land 24 damage, go into your chain mix-ups. Very strong. Every time you get a light parry, you basically get a free offensive stance light, and all that damage, it just adds up. You know, if you're not making the correct read on pairing those light attacks, you're not gonna have a good time against him because he's very strong, especially against someone who has good fundamentals. My God, you are screwed. And when it comes to the ganks, oh my God, the ganks on this character, I don't think they're gonna be fun. It takes away the fun from the gank E, or the person who's trying to anti-gank you. If you're in a situation with the Highlander that knows how to gank, you are screwed. I mean, you are screwed. That's all I have to say. Offensive stance is 9 damage, and I believe, yep, 26 damage, and then the kick is 700 MS, and then you can feint that too. Wall splats, it's ridiculously good, man. Just a very good move to use. So Highlander's gonna be S tier. They nerfed Spear Storm, but that's not that big of a deal because a lot of people ran Champion's Aura or Fire Flask anyways. Spear Storm is still gonna be good even if you use it with Fury Storm or Fire Fury Flask. Doesn't matter, this character has tons of utility with his new rework. Definitely an S tier pick and overtuned in my opinion. Now moving on to, I think we are on to Warden. Now Warden did get his rework, and I think it does make him a better character, like 100%. I think he's a better character. I might even put him, I think he's better than Gladiator. Well, actually, I think he's a good character, but I don't want to put him in A tier because, well, do I want to put him in A tier? I feel like he's an A- tier character. He's an A- tier character because he doesn't have safe defensive utility. He has good offensive pressure, but I would say half of the time you're gonna be in a defensive state anyways. Like you're gonna have to focus on the match. Like Tiani's a very good matchup for Warden, but at the same time, like Jen, who is gonna use his undodgeable and target swap away from you, and it's like, what are you supposed to do there? Like, you have to respect it, basically. Raider is gonna come at you with hyper armor, you have to respect that. Valkyrie is gonna freaking use her form as bash startup and use her pin mix up, her very good hitboxes. Kensei is a good matchup for you. If you can dodge Gladiator toe stab, this is a good matchup for you as well. Jormungandr has hyper armor, a block heavy finisher that can displace you. I think a lot of these characters are just better than Warden. Warden does have some good matchups. He has a good matchup against Warlord, but Warlord has hyper armor and enhanced lights and a full block. These matchups up here are very hard for Warden. He can definitely beat them. He has the edge against these characters, but that's if you are a very good character, or a very good player that has good fundamentals, game sense, and knows the matchup, right? Without that, Warden he's probably still a B tier pick, but since I'm a decent player with Warden and I have been playing this game for like freaking almost 5,000 hours, 900 reps, I understand the match between these characters, so I know what to do. Like 9 times out of 10, I know what to do in certain situations. If I get a parry, do I light parry? No, I zone. If I get a heavy parry, do I do 2 delights or no? I dodge. I don't actually punish. I just do a zone or I dodge away from it to get away from certain mix-ups and reposition better. So with Warden, I'm gonna keep him like an A- tier. I don't think he's better than like any of these characters when it comes to the ease of use and putting so much effort into the character. If I focus 1000%, I'll probably put him like up here. I think he's slightly better than Warmonger because Warmonger doesn't have a Vortex. The reason why this character is so strong, Vortex. But if used correctly, I would probably put him A minus, but I'm probably put him like probably put like right here, like in the middle somewhere in A minus, because he's definitely not a bad character. You need good fundamentals, and most players don't have that because they all picked Varangian and Hitakiri, Ocelotl, Magi, and Pirate. These characters, they don't teach you about fundamentals of For Honor. They just teach you how to spam, and it can be very hard to do well with Warden against characters that would dodge cancel recoveries, such as Shinobi, Afira, Pirate, Highlander, and Jang Jun, Zerker. I mean, look at all these characters. They do so much. They do so much, whereas Warden has to work a lot harder. So, not much to say about that. You guys know how the rework is. Gives you hyper armor on your follow-up chain attacks after landing a shoulder bash, which is very helpful. Don't get me wrong, it's very good. But you still need to respect other players and play accordingly and make the right decisions. Hard to use. You guys have seen my clips on Warden. I'm doing very well, but there's also quite a few times where there's just some things that I just can't do. Like, there's no hope. There's no hope. The only way you have hope is that if you have a good teammate to come help you. You have to stall on point, then die afterwards. That's just how it is. That's how for 4v4 is these days. You stall, you don't anti-gank, and it's not that great of a feeling. But you need to know that dying is not a bad thing in For Honor. You know, as long as, even if you lose, as long as you learn something and adapted towards the end of the game and win it, then that's what matters. You know, that's what makes you a good player. You're not gonna win every single fight. All the top players, or the very good players, they don't win every single fight. They definitely lose quite a bit, you know. They definitely lose, especially if you're fighting good players or teams that know how to not fear revenge. So, moving on to that, Warden's still a good player, good hero, but not that powerful. Conquer, I'm gonna keep him B tier. He's horrible. Like he's an okay character in matchmaking, and he can be a decent anchor. But with Juggernaut nerfed, a lot of people ran Juggernaut with Conquer, which is very solid feat to be using for him. But now you have to run something else. I mean, you could still run that. I just don't think he just has that much use. He's just a very wonky character. This is just a weird character, man. Like, you had to run just Shield Basher. I ran this anyways. I didn't like running Juggernaut. I didn't want to be like an anchor when it came to not moving. Shield Basher dealing more damage, like a little bit more damage, because you only deal 12 damage on a neutral bash. They'll follow up light attack, and with Shield Basher, it deals up to like freaking 16. So it's not too shabby. Well, not 16. It's I can't. 18? I think it's 18. Yeah, it's 18 damage. My brain's not braining. But 18 damage for that, and he has Punch Through for his tier 3, which is so stupid. I don't know why they haven't adjusted. They should have fixed that when they were working on the feats. But Punch Through, he has unblockable heavies. So dumb. But I would run Heal Unblocked just so that you can gain a little bit of HP back. It's not like the most optimal. You probably run the Pugio Mortis. It's probably better. But a Heal Unblock is, I think it's better, because if they use light attacks, you block it. It's just HP back for you. There's not much to say about Conquer, man. His rework was absolutely stupid as heck. Whoever reworked him should get fired immediately. They have no idea how the game works, and I should be leading the freaking dev team, in my opinion. Alright? I should be leading them and giving them ideas, making a character more fun, while making them a little bit more viable, not too overtuned. Because the fun aspect is what For Honor is all about, and that's how you bring the player base in. The reason why people just keep leaving For Honor is because it's not fun, dude. It's objectively not that fun. There's so many cancerous characters that take away the fun. Hitakiri, Varangian Guard, Orochi, a Black Prior, a freaking Pirate. These characters make the game unfun. And that's why people always leave, and the players never stay at a higher player count. But Conquer, absolutely stupid rework. Like, he's an okay hero. When defensively, he's an okay character. Offensively, he's an okay character. Chain Bash is feightable, but I mean, there's just not much to do with this hero. He's so boring. Heavy into soft range bash is gone. Chain Bash used to wall splat. It was the coolest thing ever. Slow, but it had a decent hitbox. Like, it would have a decent hitbox and track people sometimes. It's very cool. Not much to say. He's ass. I don't want to talk about him anymore. It makes me depressed, dude. I used to be. There were so much cool things you do Conquer. Peacekeeper, however, Peacekeeper got some pretty good buffs, man. I think. I think I'm gonna put her in. Honestly, she's kind of in the same boat as Warden, which is kind of crazy to me. Because actually, I might put her lower. I might put her like down here. I want to put her like a little bit below Raider, but if you use her correctly, like she can block a lot of Raider stuff, which is kind of crazy. That you can bleed him and then have enough recovery to block his attacks. So the reason why I put Peacekeeper up here is because they improved her hitboxes in the last patch that they buffed her in. They improved her hitboxes on her zone. She has more stamina. She has very good recoveries after attacking, if you guys didn't know. She also has dodge cancel recoveries too, but they're very bad. They don't have like a fast startup like Shinobi's or Orochi's, but she gets very good recoveries after attacking, so that's the very helpful thing about Peacekeeper. And her zone attack got huge buffs for her hitboxes. You can install pretty well with her and zone spam at the correct timing and be pretty safe. You just dodge cancel afterwards, or just heavy feint and reposition. So if you know how to use her, I'd say she's like A- tier. Like A-, like a good character that doesn't have strong ganking capability. She does have some ganks, but she's more of like a peeler. Her forward dash heavy is very good, and a lot of people have been utilizing it recently. I've been telling everyone in my videos and streams to play more Shaman, more Peacekeeper, all these characters, and it will teach you the fundamentals of For Honor and teach you how to make better reads and respect your opponents more so that you can perform at a higher level. And I've definitely been seeing more Peacekeepers, and there's a lot of Peacekeepers that have been stalling very well because she has very good hitboxes now. And of course her 1v1 potential is still scary. Like, she's a very strong duelist because they sped up her soft feint top light dagger cancel is 366 ms, I believe, at the moment. Let's just double check real quick, shall we? It's either 366 or 333, but I'm pretty sure it's 366 if I recall. And she does have 4 ms chain lights too, so it's pretty powerful. She does have a very powerful kit. However, you do have to understand how to team fight. You can't just jump into a battle and hope that it's going to go well for you, because it's really not when you don't respect hyper armor attacks. Yeah, it's 366 ms, so that's one of the fastest soft feints in the entire game. It might be the fastest soft feint in the entire game, now that I think about it, because this is a big monumental change on making a character more viable when it comes to 1v1 potential. Because this wasn't like the strongest kit for a high level player, because you should just be blocking top anyways against a Peacekeeper, and you need to react to her zone attack when she does throw it, or a line attack on the sides. But like, this move is scary when you are bleeding, and so that's why Peacekeeper is a good duelist. So if you manage to find someone in the map by themselves, this is your chance. This is your chance to shine, eliminate them, and then go back cap. That's what you do as Peacekeeper. And you can also stall on point and have good teammates that come help you. So I think I'm gonna put her in like A- tier. Like, she's not a bad pick, but she can be hard to use. I'm gonna put yeah, I think this is good. And yeah, this is good. And then let's move on to Nusha. Okay, I'm just gonna talk about these two characters on the same list. Nusha and Shaman, like, they're good duelists. They're very good duelists, but they lack team fighting capabilities. Nusha has a better team fighting than Shaman, in my opinion, because she has triple heavy gank, and traps can be unreactable, but they can be dodged. There's so many option selects against traps, and she has some very unique qualities with her dueling capabilities. A lot of pseudo mix-ups, a lot of things you have to respect about the character. Great 1v1 is, but in 4v4, this character, she has to respect everybody else out here. Respect a lot of them. Her traps are too slow. Zonus doesn't have that give a hitbox, although it does have like 0 freaking GB vulnerabilities, which is freaking ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. So that probably needs to get adjusted in the future. Deadly Duet is insane for 4v4. Going in there and freaking absolutely stomp on someone who is trying to duel you. Is a very strong character who can also displace people with their finisher heavies that can wall splat. And she did get a small, I think it's sort of like a bug fix where she doesn't have uninterruptible stance anymore, so it's very helpful. I think that's for victims, or actually for herself. But so that's kind of a good buff to her. But I mean, Nusha, Call Traps, Deadly Duet, and Warmonger's Piss Beat on her tier 4 with Slip Through. Not a bad character if you're good with the hero. Like, if you're good with the hero, I'd probably put her like B tier, like A- tier, maybe, but like B tier for sure. But since nobody plays her and she's so finicky to use, you have to put so much effort into this hero to get little to no reward. Like, if you put more effort in a Peacekeeper, you will do more with her than you will do with Nusha. And that says a lot. Like, these two are very good duelists. However, Peacekeeper has a more reliable mix, Whereas this character is a little bit more gimmicky. It's very gimmicky. And this goes for Shaman too. Shaman is an amazing duelist, but she lacks team fighting capabilities. No hitboxes, not that great of appeal. Like sometimes I try to do forward dash heavies to appeal for my teammates, but it's just so slow. Peacekeeper has a much better team fighting capability than these two characters, and that's why I put her so high up in the tier list. She's good for peeling, and she's good for roll catching too, because she's fast as hell, good recoveries. Whereas Shaman, she can roll catch people, but they have to already not be looking at her, you know, because her side light on the right is pretty fast. I believe it's 500 ms, but that's pretty predictable because her left and top ones are very slow. And then of course she has a very good unblockable mix. It goes into her bleed setup, which is powerful with her pounce. It gets HP back for herself. And tier 3 hatchet, healing, or thick skin, and stealth is very good. When they're unlocked, you get freaking 2 free heavies and a bleed to go into your chain mix-up. So she does have a very powerful kit, but you have to play her well. You have to have good game sense and understand that you can't overextend yourself. If you overextend and you fight any of these characters up here, and you don't manage to kill them fast enough, which I think she has kind of a slow mix because her neutral heavies only deal 22 damage, which is very silly for a character that has soft feightable attacks and is supposed to be a duelist. You know, the power comes from her bite. The potential bite, the wall splats on her bash, land a heavy or a bleed, that's where her strength comes from. And I don't know why, if you make a duelist strong, you should have them have some decent neutral damage, you know? Like decent neutral damage. That's why Peacekeeper has very good damage values, whereas Shaman doesn't. And I think if she had stronger damage values, she could finish off fights a little bit faster. But every single time you have that unblockable, applies a lot of damage. Most people are going to be parrying it anyways. And if you do land a guard break, it's only 22 damage, or you go into your bleed mix-up, so you sacrifice 10 more damage just so that you can get into your bleed mix-ups and pressure them, which is fun. It's a great way to design a character. However, in 4v4, since she has no hitbox and no strong gank, so she has that bleed gank, the bite gank, but it's super slow and it lasts forever. The bite is just way too slow to use in team fights. Whoever uses it in team fights, you're crazy, and you're actually throwing the game, in my opinion. But the character doesn't have that much going for her in team fights. 1v1s, great unlocked fighting with her, amazing. But you have to understand the character, and I think this is my tier list. I don't think there's, I mean, there definitely has been a few adjustments for sure. I mean, let's just open this up here real quick. Let's just open it, go to this thing here. Let's go to my old tier list here. Let's go to this one, and we'll look at it really quick. God, shut up, SolidSol. Why are you so sexy? So that's how my tier list looked like before. Oh my god. There we go. So that's how my tier list looked like. It definitely shook this. I think this patch definitely shook a few things up. I think the S tier still remained relatively the same, but some characters that are lower got buffed, such as Warden, Peacekeeper, and I think those are the main. I got buffed, but since some characters got nerfed, like Berserker, it let more characters shine. Like Pirate. Well, I guess Pirate was always pretty good, to be honest. I just didn't consider her as strong. And you realize that, you know, dodge attacks don't need dodge cancel recoveries on another dodge attack. That's crazy thought, right? Ubisoft crazy thought. But yeah, I think that's my list. What do you guys think about it? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section down below. We can have a fun discussion about it. And and I think the new character, when he comes out, he's gonna be S tier pick for sure. They always make a character incredibly overtuned. I'll make a full blown out tier list when that comes out, but this one here is more of like a discussion and overview on what has changed with this recent patch, because this is a pretty big nerf for feats, in my opinion. Like, very big nerf that changes how character plays, how viable they are. Some things were very egregious, like Juggernaut made them a little bit stronger than beforehand, but everything's been nerfed, and that's good. And I want to see what kind of adjustments they do in the future. On reworks, they give Lawbringer Conquer, please give him a roll catcher. Otherwise, I have to play more hit to carry. Do you want me to play more hit to carry, guys? Do you actually want me to play? Do you want me to play more hit to carry? Then buff Lawbringer and Conquer. All right. If so, if you don't want me to, then buff those two characters. Okay. Those are my thoughts, though. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts, and I appreciate all the support. Leave a like, leave a thumbs up, and a comment. Your BEA beautiful box here. Thanks for checking out the stream on YouTube and Twitch. See you guys later. Bye-bye.